Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's episode of Sawjon Bot Marathon Madness. I'm your host, Johnson McCain. Let's get to it. So today's Marathon Madness, we're going to discuss Season 1, Episode 37, Jared Lily Boy, and Season 1, Episode 54, Jared dot dot dot. Alright, and this one's gonna have lots of tea and lots of drama, so let's get started with Jared Really Boy. So this episode starts out normal, right? So he goes to school, he gets breakfast, he goes to a breakfast club, hangs out with the breakfast club people, and Erica, and he goes to English with Miss Hendricks, and then reading with Miss Warnock, and then pre-algebra, same old, Miss Carnell. Um, and then he goes to lunch and has his board meeting with all his members and eats lunch and hangs out and laughs and be savage as usual. Then he goes to choir with Mr. Neville. And they do the same old, same old. However, Jared is really in the last couple episodes, the last couple weeks, has been very has an attitude, has been very shady to Hunter, and Jared is getting really jealous of some of the Burlington members, especially the two new members, Brendan and Christopher K. Especially for some reason, Christopher K. He thinks Christopher K. is annoying and bratty and should not be on the Brotherhood for some reason. That he's strange, that he's odd. And Hunter doesn't like this attitude of Jared and the attitude that Jared has been having the last couple days and weeks. Um, so they talk about it a little bit in choir. They kind of have a little argument, a little bit, but they move on a little bit. They're still a little bit upsetty, spaghetti about it. But they move on to choir, and then they go to Fairchild's science class, and Jared's in there still with attitude. Hunter's getting sick of it, sick of this. And then, but they move on, and he goes to chaotic civics with Mr. Wild Winwich. And then he goes to the last period day resource. He gets help with um Erica with math, and does all that. But at resource, Jared's also resource with Cameron. Jared's fun and Burham member. And both of them are a little bit jealous of Chris and Brendan. And Hunter doesn't like this, and he confronts them at resource and starts getting a little bit feisty with Jared and Miss Warnock. And Jared is getting has an attitude with Hunter and is saying that Hunter's not a good leader of the Brotherhood, that he's not a good friend. He said, "Oh, heck no, Jared, you're not gonna say that." Really, Jared? Jared? Really, boy? That's what Hunter's thinking and saying to Jared. And then they keep arguing back and forth. Miss Warnock yells at both of them. They take Jared to the hallway and talks to Jared. He has an attitude. He comes back into attitude. They talk to Hunter. Yells at Hunter a little bit. He goes back in. Hunter has a little bit of attitude, but he gets math done. And during the math assignment, I believe this happens. I believe I'm in the right place. Like finishes math with Erica, and during it, Miss Warnock Jared still has an attitude and doesn't want to do his work and has a little bit of attitude, and Miss Warnock yells at him to do his work, and then they go back into the hallway, and like Jared's like yelling and screaming and going crazy. It's totally crazy. And the whole class is shocked and she's going crazy. They talk to her again in the hallway, him again in the hallway. And then they go back and he's still having attitude. And then it goes back and forth with Mr. Warnock and Jared, and Hunter's like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And he just keeps on screaming, and they have to get um, the principal, this principal on Jared. Oh my gosh. And then the principal walks in all angry, or assistant principal, whatever, and talks to Jared and takes him out to the office. And keeps on screaming, but the bell rings, he goes out, and Jared's is all still going crazy, and he walks out of class. Lisa Hunter goes home. He gets out of resource, he goes home for a day, and he's like, oh my gosh, really, Jared? And he's thinking about putting Jared and Cameron at this point for being jealous of the other board member onto a probation, which is a temporary kickout. So we'll see what happens in the next couple coming episodes. So now we're going to talk about episode, oopsie, 57, which is Jared dot dot dot, and this is a normal episode. We're now in the last week before fall break, so we're going fast forward again. Um, so and this episode is normal. Breakfast Club, first period, second period, third period, lunch, choir. But Jared is still having attitude like he has had for the past month. It's crazy. And Hunter's getting tired of it. The saga continues with Jared. Really? Yeah. Um, but he goes to choir, he does science, he has an attitude. Chaotic civics is crazy. Then he goes to resource. And here we are again. But today in resources is a bit special because how good they were they had a field trip called, which we'll talk about in the future Marathon Madness, to somewhere called JA, and Jared had an attitude there too, and ignored Hunter, and Hunter's still upset about it. So, but how um because of the field trip, they don't have homework. So resource they go. I think this is the episode. It might be long, but they go outside um for resource, and Erica's out there with them, and they do the Gaga pet. They have fun. However, Hunter gets a little bit feisty, gets an attitude with Jared, and Jared has an attitude, and they get another one of the famous arguments. Oh my gosh, it's madness. But he goes to the picnic table outside, um, outside, and and Hunter talks and gets in a little bit of argument with Hunter, gets a little bit, with Jared, and a spat with Jared. Like, why did you annoy me, Jared? And yelling, and it's kind of crazy. But I think Miss Warnock has to yell at him once again and talk to him once again. Luckily, the assistant principal didn't have to run in there, and luckily Jared's not going crazy this time, like a freak show. But you'll see many more craziness in future Marathon Madness episodes with Jared and with the other members. But that'll be later on. But um But he just kind of upset. Why did you ignore me? Because I wanted to. Blah blah blah. You're a bad leader. You're a bad. Blah blah. Hunter doesn't like that. But they have to go back in. They pack up, and then they head out the door. It was a nice break from math and everything. But he's still upset with Jared. He's saying, Jared, really boy, Jared, dot dot dot. You know, come on now, let's go. Stop being jealous of members. Stop being annoying me. Not talking to me. Come on, come on. I don't want to have to kick you out, but it looks like I'm gonna kick you out or temporarily kick you out, and we'll see in the next coming episodes what that'll look like in the future. Alright. Well, that's it for tonight's Marathon Madness. It just got a little bit more tea, a little bit more drama, a little bit more madness. Thank you for watching tonight's episode, and I'll see you tomorrow night for another episode of Star John Block Marathon Madness. Have a great evening, a great night, a great day, and may God bless each and every one of you and protect each and every one of you. Have a great evening. Bye.